Hello and welcome to this Taking Time with Tasha, where today I'm going to be continuing to work on this Goldwork piece, which is made up of chipping, and I started this in a recent stitch along that I did for the London Embroidery School as part of celebrating this new online class that we have for you guys. I was working on this in a previous video as well as in the stitch along for the London Embroidery School. And so today I'm going to be moving on from some of the issues that I was discussing in that other video and talking a bit more about why I'm wanting to learn more about Goldwork today instead and during this next lockdown that we're now in. Some of you may or may not know, but although I am a professional embroiderer, Goldwork as a technique is not something that I am personally that well versed in. And in the company that I work in, we all have our specialities, and Goldwork, I'm afraid, isn't one of mine. It's something that I have wanted to learn a lot more about for a long time now. It just sort of has this super luxurious look that makes me feel like it's the pinnacle of hand embroidery, in my opinion, and I just love it. I love looking at it, and I've always found that I've almost been a little bit intimidated by it because the lady who does the gold work in-house for us is so incredible. Like, I can't really explain that to you. So yeah, her talent is a little bit intimidating, and so I've always thought that her goldwork always looks so perfect that almost, yeah, I didn't kind of pluck up the courage to start. However, we've been doing these online classes that I've been pretty involved with, and so I am the voice on the Goldwork classes that you may have taken with the London Embroidery School, as she writes me very clear notes that I then can formulate into the voiceover to instruct you guys into what her hands in those classes are demonstrating. But doing those classes really made me think that, you know, I know all of the theory. Well, not all of the theory, that's a bit arrogant, but like, I understand the theory and enough to kind of get that across to you guys with the help of a professional hand demonstrating those things and looking really, really smooth, that, you know, maybe it's time that I just plucked up the courage and learnt a bit more about this technique and the series of techniques that Goldwork is, because it's such an amalgamation of different techniques all together. That's what makes it look so rich and so luxurious. And so here I'm just starting with a really quite basic beginner technique. Chipping is great because you can really just freestyle it and do whatever you feel, and you sort of can't get it too far wrong, to be honest. So it's always a good place to start. And on top of that, you know, it looks wonderful. It looks all shiny and glittery. I mean, what more could you possibly want, really? So that's what I've begun with this particular project that I'm working on. Thinking back to my degree, I have a textiles degree and I specialised in embroidery, and we only did one day of Goldwork within that, and I think that was a bit of a disservice to myself that I didn't go further with that or didn't push for more. It meant that I learned an awful lot about machine embroidery, which I get to put into very regular use in my normal work, but yeah, I didn't get that zest for Goldwork that I think I probably could have got if there had been a little bit more time to it. And it's such a big part of embroidery history, particularly when you look back at historical examples of embroidery, that I don't know why more of it wasn't included on that curriculum, to be honest. Historically, Goldwork has been used for the most rich and elaborate pieces. It does take quite a long time to do. It does use relatively expensive materials, or it would have done in its heyday, and so it really was reserved for the richest and most powerful people who could afford to commission that sort of work. And if you think about going back in history to a time where people were illiterate and the power of image, having a robe or a gown or whatever that was all gold work was such a powerful thing to communicate to people who couldn't read who you were and how important you were. It was almost a form of kind of propaganda, really. And that's why these really beautiful examples of gold work are often immortalized in paintings, and those are the things that we look to now when we want to learn about history, to find out about our own history and the history of other cultures, is seeing what has been immortalized in art. And a lot of that gold work has obviously perished itself. It is made on cloth, and cloth does disintegrate even if the metal doesn't disintegrate at quite the same rate. But well-preserved art does keep those textiles alive in a way. So now, as you can see, I have begun on my goldwork journey, and I have to say I'm very much enjoying it. Chipping is very satisfying, and so I think I'll probably be doing a fair bit more of this in the future. But as I come towards the end of this piece, I definitely want to try some of the other techniques in goldwork, and I'm going to keep it up. As we have a bit more time at home because of this new lockdown, I think there will be more goldwork projects to come. But I'm just looking forward to getting this first piece finished off really well, and hopefully doing it to a nice high level and not losing too many of my chips around the room. As you can see, some of them pinging about. And I don't know whether you can see, but in real life this piece has 4 colours blended together to sort of make a nice smooth ombre effect through the colours and through the chips. So it does have quite an expensive look to it, and I'm quite pleased with that. I definitely have made some mistakes in this piece. It doesn't go quite as thick and thin through the letter as I originally intended. I think that's definitely something that I could work on from a letter forming perspective, and hopefully can try and apply some of my calligraphy knowledge to that instead, to try and make it look more elaborate. I also made a bit of a mistake with the pearl edging, in that I tried to sort of manipulate one little bit of the edging once it was done, and ended up pulling the pearl and stretching it, and then it's damaged. So originally the N outside edge, the pearl edge, was all done as one piece, as it should have been. But now I had taken one of those edges out, which will be from the inside of the curl up to the outside of the first stroke of the N. That is now a separate piece of pearl because I detached the damaged section and replaced it. So that's not technically correct, but I think I'm still sort of getting away with it as a final look, and it does look better with that new piece in it rather than the damaged piece that I left myself with when I fiddled with things that I probably should have left alone. But you live and learn, and so I'm going to try not to poke my goldwork too much in the future, and remember to use my Malor a bit more as well, although I did do the damage with the Malor, so learn to use my Malor better, I think, is the resolution from that. My decision now, I guess, has to be, what is my next goldwork project? I could obviously attempt another one of the London Embroidery School's classes, as I do have access to the materials for that, and yeah, that might be a good one to try. But I also have a goldwork piece that I started years and years ago, maybe 6, 7 years ago, something like that, a long time. Before I really knew anything about goldwork, I just had a book on it and thought I'd give it a bit of a try. So the existing sample is not very good, but maybe I could try and work on a new section of that and see how it goes. I'm quite keen to try to do some couching with, like passing thread or Japanese thread and plunging the ends and that sort of thing. I think that would be perhaps a good next step for me. Although I know that my family has got an eye on wanting letters of their own. So maybe I'll try some of the other letters with different designs, like we will be doing for the other Goldwork letter classes, that is. We will have to wait and see if I can fend them off enough to make that happen. Anyway, that's all from me for now. Thanks for joining me, and if you've enjoyed this video and my ramblings, then please do think about giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It really helps other people to know that I exist and to hopefully find me and enjoy my videos as well. Until next time, bye for now.